First, let's look at the grasp for power, worldly lifestyle, and leadership. Let me come back to that verse in chapter 22, Luke chapter 22, verse 25. And he said to them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and those in authority over them are called benefactors. Now, the Jews were very familiar with the Gentile model of leadership. The kings and emperors at that time thought that they were gods, and they ruled with tyrannical force. And they used their positions of power to give out gifts, and therefore they were ironically also called as benefactors. So first let's look at the desire for power. In their classic song from 1986, the British pop duo Tears for Fears sings these words: all for freedom and for pleasure, nothing ever lasts forever, everybody wants to rule the world. The disciples were talking about who would be the greatest among them, or who is the greatest among them. And the interesting thing is, every time they had this conversation, and you go back and see all the times that they had this conversation, and you look back at the context is that Jesus had just spoken about his death, and then these people are having these conversations about which one of them is among the greatest. And that's very interesting, because it was as if Jesus was going to die, who is going to take his place among that group of men? In fact, in Acts chapter 1 verse 6, they talk about how they ask Jesus, when will you come to establish the kingdom? Because in their minds, they always thought that Jesus was going to establish an earthly Jewish kingdom. And so they were always trying to get the right position when that earthly kingdom happened. There is an innate desire in humans to be the greatest. Some people, based on their temperament, don't want to be the greatest, but at least they want their kids to be greater than somebody else's kids. So we as humans want to be the greatest, either personally or vicariously. This is seen more in the secular world. So we want to be the greatest architect, or the best engineer, or the best surgeon. It's not usually seen in the Christian spiritual realm, where we're not trying to be the best author in the world, or the best evangelist in the world, or the best preacher in the world. Yet that comparative mindset can creep into the church. The desire to be the greatest is likely the oldest sin. Satan had that problem. He was one of the great angels at that time, but he wanted to be greater than God. And so he was pushed down. Obviously, we are not trying to be greater than God, but yet the desire is there to be number one. Wanting to be great is commendable, but wanting to be greater has the element of pride because it is comparative. C.S. Lewis, in his book Mere Christianity, writes this about pride. Pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having it more than the next man. We say that people are proud of being rich or clever or good looking, but they are not. They are proud of being richer or cleverer or better looking than others. If everyone else became equally rich or clever or good looking, there would be nothing to be proud about. It is a comparison that makes you proud, the pleasure of being above the rest. Once the element of competition has gone, pride has gone. The desire to be great is good, but the desire to be greater, like the sin of the devil, reeks of pride.